They are going to die. If Donald Trump and his regime decide that they are going to put boots on the ground in Iran, which is looking more and more like a possibility, then they are sending those men and women on a suicide mission. Let me explain. This is an NBC exclusive. At this point, you can start cross-checking with other publications as this came out earlier in the evening. It is March 6th, 2026. We are learning that Trump has privately shown serious interest in U.S. ground troops in Iran. The explanation here is that the president's private comments have not focused on a large-scale ground invasion of Iran, but rather on the idea of small contingents of U.S. troops that would be used for specific strategic purposes. I wasn't quite sure what the Iranian topography looked like what did the land look like? And I had seen a bunch of comments about it on my videos and others, so I decided to look it up. First of all, it is beautiful, right? But second of all, if you notice, we're dealing with landscapes that we are not familiar with as Americans. Maybe here and there throughout the country, but for the most part, we are not used to trekking over rock-like mountains and dealing with elevation changes, and we have these large pieces of equipment if we're on the ground that then have to move across this space. And if you specifically want to target on foot some sort of like base or compound that the Iranians have, you're looking at dealing with this type of landscape. And this is why I say you have to know your history in order to understand current events, because if you know about Vietnam and you know about their style of warfare and why it was so deadly to the Americans, you would know that this is a member of the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong basically just engaged in guerrilla warfare for the most part, which is this idea that you ambush someone in these smaller attacks, but you do so in a tactical way because you have the home field advantage. In the case of Vietnam, they knew the jungles, they knew the villages inside and out, they knew how to blend in with civilians, and they had all kinds of tunnels and booby traps and all kinds of things set all up for us, the Americans, to fall victim to, essentially. So you would be looking at that style warfare on foot. Not to mention, Donald Trump is talking about sending small groups of soldiers on foot into Iran. I gotta tell you, based on the video I made earlier today, the numbers, there's no way. It would be a slaughter in terms of Iranians taking us on. We would not survive that. At this point, all this can be is an informational video. That is the reality of what we are facing, and we can truly only watch in horror at this moment and just hope that some voice of reason gets through to Donald Trump and others making decisions.